Hello students, today we are going to start with the next chapter of physics, that is magnetic effect of electric current. In our last chapter of electricity, we had learnt about electric current and its heating effect. That is, when current flows through a conductor, current carrying conductor, it produces heat. In this chapter, we are going to see how the same current carrying conductor produces magnetic effect, how it behaves like a magnet. Before we proceed with the chapter, we should all know what actually a magnet is and what are its properties. Students, in our childhood, we all have played with magnets, and we have seen that a magnet has property of attraction. It always attracts magnetic materials like iron. So what actually a magnet is? A magnet is basically a material or an object that has the ability to attract ferromagnetic materials. Students, what are these ferromagnetic materials? Ferromagnetic materials are those materials which can easily be magnetized when they are kept in a magnetic field, and they can be attracted by a magnet. Such materials are iron, nickel and cobalt. So a magnet always attracts ferromagnetic materials. It also attracts or repels other magnets. Magnets can be artificially made using these ferromagnetic materials, but naturally lodestone is a mineral which shows magnetic property. So lodestone is a natural occurring magnet. Let's see what are the properties of these magnets. As we have just studied, a magnet has property of attraction. It always attracts ferromagnetic materials. And students, this property of attraction is generally concentrated at the ends of the magnet, in small regions at the ends of the magnet, and these ends of the magnet are called poles. In these figures, I have drawn two magnets for you. One is a cuboidal shaped magnet which we call as a bar magnet, and other one is shaped like a horseshoe, so we call it a horseshoe magnet. The ends of these magnets are termed as north and south poles. Students, the most important thing here we all should remember that a magnet is always bipolar. Bipolar means it always has two poles. You cannot separate the poles of these magnets. That means there cannot be a magnet with a north pole or a south pole. It has to have both the poles. If I'll cut this magnet in two halves, then also you cannot separate the poles of the magnet. The two halves will have their individual bipoles. Right, students? So dividing a magnet in different halves, different parts cannot separate its poles. So a magnet is always bipolar, and these poles are called north and south pole. Students, if I'll suspend a magnet freely, I'll observe that a freely suspended magnet will point towards the magnetic north-south of the earth. Student, there is a difference between geographic north-south and magnetic north-south. The geographic axis and magnetic axis of the earth are inclined to each other. They are not same. So a freely suspended magnet will always point towards the magnetic north-south of the earth. That is, the end of the magnet which points towards the north, magnetic north of the earth, will be your north pole of the magnet, and the other one which points towards the south pole of the earth will be the south pole of the magnet. Students, like poles of a magnet always repel each other. That means if I bring north pole of a magnet near the north pole of one magnet, suppose I'll bring the north pole of this magnet near the north pole of this bar magnet, it is going to repel. Similarly, south poles will also repel. But unlike poles, that is north and south, if they are brought near to each other, they will attract each other. So, like poles repel each other and unlike poles always attract each other. So, we have learnt that a magnet has the ability of attraction. That means it attracts ferromagnetic materials. Now, this property of attraction is localized. That means there is a region in which the influence of the magnet can be felt. We have studied in chapter of electricity about electric field, that is the region around an electric charge in which its influence can be felt. Similarly, magnetic field, students, is the region around a magnet in which its influence can be felt or experienced by another magnet or ferromagnetic material. उसी रीजन के अंदर ही वो मैग्नेट अपनी मैग्नेटिक फोर्स लगाएगी किसी और मैग्नेट के ऊपर या फिर मैग्नेटिक मटेरियल्स लाइक आयरन निकल के ऊपर। उसके बाहर जैसे आप उस एरिया के बाहर जाएंगे उसमें उसकी फोर्स नहीं लगेगी। मैग्नेटिक फील्ड स्ट्रेंथ को हम रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं बाय द लेटर B and its unit is Tesla. Student, magnetic field has both magnitude and direction. So it is a vector quantity. Now the question arises how to represent this magnetic field, because it is invisible to us. We cannot see this magnetic field. So in order to represent it, we draw certain lines around a magnet or a current carrying conductor. And these lines, which represents the strength and direction of magnetic field, are called magnetic field lines. They are also known as magnetic lines of forces. Magnetic lines of force. So these are the lines which actually represents the strength and direction of magnetic field. They are imaginary, right, students? Basically, if I want to draw a magnetic line around a magnet, I can draw it with the help of a magnetic compass. The direction in which the north end or the north pole of the magnetic compass moves, that path is your magnetic field line. We are going to learn this in an activity in our next videos. So far we have learned that what a magnet is and what is a magnetic field and how to represent a magnetic field. Students, in 1820, the great scientist Hans Christian Ørsted was demonstrating an experiment in his lecture. In his class, he was demonstrating an experiment, and in that experiment, he used a copper wire, current carrying copper wire. And luckily, there was a magnetic compass kept on that table. While demonstrating an experiment, he observed that when the current passed through that copper wire, there was deflection in the magnetic compass. And then the Ørsted starts pondering over the situation, and he gave the world a very important relationship between current and magnetism. That is called magnetic effect of electric current. Let's try to understand what actually Ørsted did with the help of an activity. In this activity, I have taken a board and I have passed a copper wire. This XY is a copper wire. I have passed this copper wire perpendicular through the board. And I have connected the ends of the copper wire with a circuit consisting of an ammeter, battery and a key. I have also kept a magnetic compass on this board. Students, the moment I switch on the key, the current will start flowing through the copper wire, and I will observe that the moment the current passes through this copper wire, there is a momentary deflection in this magnetic compass. Friends, magnetic compass always points towards magnetic north and south of the earth. There will be deflection in the magnetic compass only when it is kept in the magnetic field of some magnet. Now here there is no other magnet except the magnetic compass. So basically the current which is flowing through this copper wire is generating or producing the magnetic field which is exerting force on this magnetic compass, due to which it is deflecting. Right, students? So with this activity we can conclude that whenever current passes through a conductor, it always produces magnetic effect. Right, students? This was the greatest discovery of Oersted, and later on many devices like radio, televisions were be able to discover because of this important relationship between current and magnetism.